Okay, so continuing on from that first video. So I was pregnant. Everything went great in the pregnancy. I had her, and she was born back in end of January of 2009. So she's 3 years old now. Her name's Adele. Wonderful little girl, my pride and joy. I was so happy to have her. And I learned a wonderful thing about my husband at that point that really just made the skies look bluer. And that was that he was a wonderful father. So even though I really kind of questioned how good of a father he'd be when I was pregnant, because he didn't seem excited, he didn't seem interested. But once she was born, he fell immediately in love with her. And he was a good father, and he cared about her, he was attentive. And so I was happy. I mean, I was happy at least in the fact that even though he didn't want her, he did eventually want her, if that makes sense. But he had a hard time with the initial, let's have a baby. And so he was a wonderful father, and I was very, very proud of him for that. And I loved that. It was just a great character that was so important to me. And so as I was nursing, I nursed her and didn't think that I was very fertile. And I think I went over this briefly in my first video, my very first vlog. But I didn't think I was fertile, and so we weren't using protection. And so when I was about 6 months, when Adele, my oldest, was 6 months old, I got pregnant again, and was actually, I was really shocked. I wasn't thinking I was going to be fertile. I didn't think I'd get pregnant. And my period, I think I'd only had my period for I think 3 months. And so anyway, got pregnant again, and he was a little happier. I want to say happier, but he was a little more okay with that pregnancy. I think he realized how much he loved the first daughter, and so he was a little more okay with having a second child. And so we found out that one was a girl as well, and he was still not very involved in my pregnancy. He tried a little bit more to be more involved in it, but he still wasn't extremely involved. And then she was born, and he loved her too. He was an excellent father. Once I felt secure in our marriage, I still wanted to have more kids. And so I kind of made it a goal in my mind that when our youngest Lydia turned 18 months, we would start trying for our third child. And so that would have been, that was last October. So in October, my husband said okay. He was actually okay with it. We had made a lot of headway in our marriage. We had come a long way. And so in October, we actually, for the first time ever, we actually actively tried to have a child. We tried to conceive, which was great and wonderful, and it was kind of my dream come true. But also that same month, 2 other things happened. First was he lost his job. He was working at a job where they hired by contract, and so he would, once the contract was over, he would wait to get rehired. And that was just normal. We expected it, but he didn't get hired on another contract. And he went without a job until very recently, so almost 6 months. He went without a job, which threw a really big, just a huge wrench in our plans. And so that happened. And then the other thing that happened was in October, we got into a fight over the stupidest thing. And if I told you what we'd fought about, you'd laugh at us and say, you're ridiculous, I'm not watching your vlog anymore. Because it was really silly, but at the same time, I was already so emotional and so sensitive to his faithfulness and just the way that he treated me, that to me it was a big deal. And I needed to have that confidence in him that he would care about my feelings, and I didn't feel that he cared about my feelings. And so we got into an argument that kind of put a wedge in between us and kind of sent us back to the beginning. Even though not really, because what happened, like I said, it was so stupid to make a big deal out of, but it was a big deal. And so he at that point said, no, I'm not ready to start having kids. So after October, he was done. And it really broke my heart, and it was like living back into the beginning years of our marriage all over again. And so since then, we've struggled with this. We've struggled with trying to strengthen our marriage and trying to be happy with each other. I have struggled being happy in this marriage and feeling like there's potential in him and feeling like we're going to have more children. Because it's really, to me, it's very hurtful to have a husband that doesn't want to have children with me or doesn't want to have children with me now. That's very hurtful, and it's very insulting and it's hard for me to just get over it and move on. And I can tell myself every day, Ariane, there's more important things than that. Get up and move on and be happy and choose to be happy with your husband and have faith in him, and someday he'll want children. And as much as I want to give myself that pep talk, it's really, really hard. And I've struggled with it. And it's really just made me upset, and it's made me depressed. And so we've struggled these last few months. And so the reason I'm doing the vlog now is because since we've had a lot of really good talks, I really do believe that he wants to have children. I know that he wants to have children. We've been seeing a counselor. We've been dealing with a counselor about these issues very specifically. I know that he wants to have more children, and I know that he is sincere in that. But he really just wants to feel secure in our marriage. He wants to feel like, because there have been a couple times where our marriage has gotten bad and I've kicked him out of the house, and it's like I don't know what else to do. I don't want to say that it's happened a lot, but considering how many times we've struggled in our marriage, it's happened. And so he wants to feel like we're secure and we're happy and we're trying to make a baby while we're happy and secure, and that we're not just going to always be on this roller coaster ride. And I believe that those are his reasons. And so the reason I'm doing this vlog is because I feel that it's going to be sooner rather than later that we are ready to TTC. And so I'm shooting for the summer. And so until then, I just have these goals, these things that I want to accomplish. I really want to work on my marriage. I have a very strong belief in the importance of marriage and the importance of family. And to me, that should be the most important thing right now, is that my husband and I are happy. And so the last couple weeks we have been very happy, and we have been working and talking and just communicating about our issues, communicating about our goals. And he's trying really, really hard to be a good husband, and he has a new job, and he's trying really hard to provide for his family, and he's trying really hard to make me happy. And he knows that I want children, and he wants to make me happy in that way. He wants to have more children with me, and I believe him. So for the first time, I feel like we're close. We're not that far off. I feel like the hard times are kind of behind us, and from here on out, they're just going to get easier, and they're going to get better. And so